Hello, and welcome to the third video in our series on starting a men's team ministry to the widowed and single parents in your church. Today we're going to be talking about promoting your men's team ministry, planning your orientation meeting, and recruiting care receivers for your men's team ministry. So let's begin by talking about how to promote your men's team ministry in your church. The very first thing you need to do is you need to write out and memorize your summary announcement, including the correct date, time, and place. This is very important. You need to have this down pat so that anybody stops you in the corridor of the church and asks you what this is all about, you are ready to just spit it out. So make sure you write it down and you've got it memorized. It doesn't have to be long. In fact, it shouldn't be long. We often call this your elevator speech. Somebody asks you a question about what you do in an elevator, and you should be able to tell them by the time you reach your floor what you do. Well, same thing with this. You need to be able to tell somebody quickly, efficiently, and clearly what men's team ministry is all about and when it's going to start and where it's going to start in your church. And then allow plenty of time for your promotion. About 4 weeks is probably enough. You want to make sure that men are hearing this more than once. Multiple times is critical. You need to get this into the minds and brains of your men so they can think about it, talk about it with their wife, and discuss it with other men. So start early and emphasize repetition. Explain in your promotion, explain what your men's team ministry is and why it's needed. You might consider asking a widow or asking a single mom to get up and interview her in front of the church and just ask her what she thinks a men's team ministry might mean for her in her life. And then whatever you do, though, don't use condescending language. You don't want to treat your widows and single moms as if they're helpless victims. Rather, treat them as if they're heroes. These are men and women who are in a tough situation, and we want to come alongside them and obey God and serve with them in their walk with the Lord. So use encouraging language, don't use condescending language. And then by all means, use all types of promotion in your church, whether it be a bulletin announcement, whether it be pulpit announcement, whether it be a video announcement, Sunday school announcements, maybe a pastoral letter to the men of the congregation. Just be creative and find out what are the best ways for me to get this message across in a way that's compelling and clear and will help our men make a good decision. And then invite your men to learn about your men's team ministry, not to volunteer for your men's team ministry at your orientation. You want to make it clear that just by attending the orientation, they are not committing themselves. The orientation will give them an opportunity to commit themselves, but first and foremost, the purpose of the orientation is to explain to your men what men's team ministry is, and then invite them to participate. Okay, so that's promoting your men's team ministry, and now what we want to do is we want to talk about the orientation meeting itself and planning for the orientation meeting. First of all, you want to decide who's going to MC the orientation. Might be you, might be somebody else who feels a little bit more comfortable up front, but whatever the case may be, you need to make sure that they know what this ministry is all about, so that they can knowledgeably lead the orientation meeting. They're not going to be doing a lot of speaking. They're going to welcome everybody. They're going to introduce the video, and then they're going to let the video play. And then after the video, they're going to be doing some organization with teams. So they need to watch the video beforehand, before the actual orientation. And then make sure you have your orientation either video downloaded or DVD purchased. You can purchase a DVD online for $20. I believe it's around $20. If you're a member of Meeting to Meet Needs, you get a discount. Have it downloaded, have it ready to go, and that video is developing a men's team ministry to your widows, widowers, and single parents. And then decide if you're going to provide workbooks and how you're going to provide them. I really encourage you to give your men workbooks. And the reason why is because you want them to see the scripture for themselves. You want them to see the policy statement for themselves. It's just one more way to cement this ministry in their minds. Again, you can purchase workbooks online, and if you're a member, you get a discount for that. Or you can download a PDF version of the workbook and you can copy them yourself. So if you want to put in the work, you can make free copies yourself, or if you want us to do the work of binding the workbooks, you can purchase hardbound workbooks from New Commandment Men's Ministries. And then allow at least 2 hours, probably 2.5 to 3 hours for your orientation meeting. The video itself is a little bit less than an hour and a half, but you're going to be breaking for, or taking time for a break, and then you're also going to be forming teams. Men are going to have questions, and so it's going to take a little bit longer than that. And then you want to provide name tags and as well as pens or pencils for your orientation meeting, and you want to make sure your AV system is working. And if you're using a DVD, that is can play the DVD. I know perhaps you've been at meetings where somebody comes in and they start the AV system and it's not working right. So just test out the AV system prior to the meeting, preferably the night before, so that if there are any problems, you can get those resolved prior to the meeting, so that at the time of the beginning of the meeting, you're ready to go. And by the way, start the meeting on time. Don't wait for people to get there late. When you start a meeting late, hoping that other people will arrive, you're rewarding the late people and penalizing the people who are there on time. So regardless of who is there, start the meeting on time. Okay, now let's talk about recruiting your care receivers. You want to actually wait until after your orientation to recruit your care receivers. And the reason why is because you don't know how many teams you're going to have until after the orientation. And so you don't want to recruit more care receivers than you have teams. So wait until after the orientation when you know the number of teams that you have before you actually start recruiting your care receivers. However, you want to begin planning for that prior to your orientation meeting. You want to be working with your pastoral staff because they know the church best and making a list of potential care receivers and deciding on who is needier, who's prioritizing your list, so that you have a list ready to go so that you can begin contacting potential care receivers right after your orientation meeting. Whatever the case may be, do not make a public appeal to invite potential care receivers to sign up for this ministry. And the reason why is because some people who sign up may not be qualified, and that would be embarrassing if you had to go to them and say, well, this really isn't what we're talking about. So don't make a public appeal to your widows, to your single moms, to sign up for this ministry. Let them know that you will be contacting them personally and individually. And also you need to let them know that you may not be able to cover everybody initially who needs and wants a team. Ask them to be patient. Ask them that you are going to make every effort, Lord willing, to be able to cover everyone in your church who needs and wants a team. And then decide on who's going to be responsible for contacting your care receivers, and make sure that whoever is contacting your care receivers, again, knows what the ministry is all about and contacts those care receivers individually and privately, beginning immediately after your orientation. Okay, so we have talked about promoting your men's team ministry, preparing for your orientation, recruiting your care receivers. Here's the checklist that we want to go through. First of all, write and memorize your orientation announcement. Publicize the orientation using all the church mediums that you've got. Choose your Master of Ceremonies. Locate your orientation DVD or download it off of our site and download it for free off of our site, and test the AV system, make sure everything is working correctly. Order your workbooks, and by the way, please allow, if you're going to order hardcover workbooks from New Commandment Men's Ministries, please allow at least a week to a week and a half prior to your orientation so that they get there on time. Purchase your name tags and additional pens. Make a list of potential care receivers. Remember, you are meeting with your church staff so that they give you the input. You shouldn't be the only one who decides who receives this ministry. It should be church staff who decides who needs and should receive this ministry. And then you want to prioritize your care receivers, again in consultation with your church staff. You want to go through and see who are the needier potential care receivers, And then you want to decide on who is going to be contacting those people. Okay, so that's our checklist. You're all set, ready to go. Be in prayer for your men, be in prayer for your church, your care receivers, and in just a little while, you are going to be having an actual orientation, and you are actually going to be starting a men's team ministry in your church. How exciting is that? Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.